Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to Badger Workshop. So last time I got this put back together. Now it just needs to do a few finishing touches. So I'm going to start with the guide blocks. As you can see, the old ones were made out of wood, so I'm just going to replace them. And I've got this scrap of oak I'm just going to cut down to the size I need. The old blocks had slots in them, so they can be adjusted in and out. So I'm just going to drill a series of holes down a centre line. Then I can use files and rasps to clean it up. On the top of the back guides there's this sort of bearing that goes in, and that sits on a little ball bearing, so I'm just going to get that put in place with a bit of grease. I can then put it back in, and then this bolt goes on the back, and when you tighten that up or loosen it, it pushes the bearing in or out. I can now get the wooden guide blocks put in place, and they're just held on with a couple of washers and wing nuts so they can be easily adjusted. I've ordered a new blade for this, a nice aggressive rip one from Tough Saws. This blade is exactly 12 foot long. The blade was not that much more difficult to install than on a modern saw, but I'm hoping I won't have to change this too often. To adjust the tracking, I just need to wind these bolts in or out on the top wheel. When I have the blade on the correct position on the tyre, I can then get the guides adjusted. So this saw didn't come with a motor, so I've gone and got a brand new one for it. This is a 2.2 kilowatt, 3 horsepower, single phase, 4-pole motor. To keep the drive belts as short as possible, I want to raise it up a bit and not just attach it to the base. So I'm going to use some bits of scaffold board to do that. I mark out positions for the holes, get them drilled and get some bolts put in place. Then I can get the motor on and bolted down. I then get a couple more scraps of scaffold board and get them attached, so the motor is going to be raised up and it can stick out the back a little. To go on the shaft of the motor, I've got this SPA V pulley, and it has this tapered bush to attach it. I get it lined up with the key, and then I can get it pushed on and tapped into place with a rawhide mallet. I can then use a straight edge to make sure the two pulleys are in line. When I'm happy with the position, the two grub screws can be done up, locking it in place. For the drive belts, I've got some of these linked V belts, so I find them really easy to use. So I overlap them and mark out how long it's going to need to be. Then I can get two belts made up of that length and put onto the pulleys. To turn the machine on and off, I've got this NVR switch. I'm going to mount it to the blade guard. So I get a couple of holes drilled in the back of the box and use a step drill to drill out the blanking plates for the glands to go. Then I can get those attached. Unfortunately, there was no existing holes in this machine, so I mark out the position where I need to put a couple of holes and then I can get them drilled out. I can then get the box bolted into place. I was waiting on some black flex cable to arrive, so I thought I'd get on with another job, and that's to get a fence fitted. I already had this one from Axminster. I'll put a link down below to it. It's got two mounting brackets, so I mark out and drill a couple of holes into the cast iron, and then I get a 6mm tap and tap those holes. The brackets can then get bolted into place, and the rail for the fence slid onto those brackets. The fence then goes on the rail, and this should be a really useful addition to the saw. the cable turned up, so on one end I get a plug put on and then get it wired onto the NVR switch. Another bit of cable goes onto the other bit of the NVR switch, and then that goes down to the motor. Both the switch and the motor came with really good wiring diagrams, which really help for someone like me that doesn't do this very often. Now, let's try and cut some wood with it. I'm going to start with some bits of 4x2, and it goes through these like a hot knife through butter. Now I've got this bit of 8-inch oak beam. This should be a bit more of a challenge. As it's not square in any way, I'm not going to use the fence. I'm just going to freehand this cut. But yet again, it really didn't struggle with this whatsoever. So that's it all put together and up and running. Really pleased with how it works. Cut loads of bits of 4x2, I've got a whole pile behind me. But I can't believe how easily it went through this bit of oak beam as well. Fence works great. I'll put a link down below to this on the Axminster website because you can add it to table saws or any other bandsaw. It's got some T-track in it, so I think an upgrade I might do is add a higher fence to it as well, which will help with resawing larger material. A cheap IKEA lamp that I had already, so I've added that to it, which is nice. But I will keep an eye out for a nice old machine lamp to add, but they're very expensive, but I'll see if I can find one. Other things that need doing to it then. So other things I need to do, just got to get some cable clips and tidy up all these cables. And then these belts need a cage on them. So I'm just going to have a think about the best way of doing that, and there might be a video about that. So I've made about 20 cuts on it, and the mess on the floor of this garage was unbelievable. So there's no dust collection built into it, as you can imagine, for a machine this old. But out the corner of my eye, I could see it flying out to the side. So what I think I might do is set up the camera and try and record like where it flings dust while I'm using it, and then try and hook up some kind of makeshift dust port. So that's maybe another future project. But all in all, super pleased. This is really going to change how I work, especially how to resaw material this thick. In fact, it can go quite a bit higher than that. Yeah, I could do quite a bit more than that. So, yeah, I'm sure you'll see this in lots of future projects. So, thanks for watching, thanks to my patrons, and please subscribe for more videos.